Hello, everybody. Is anybody out there? Can you hear me? Hello. Just standing here, sitting here, looking at pictures of the Norse god Thor. So 3 people. I bet that includes me, people. Let's see, what does it look like over here? If I do that, and mute that, there we go. Well, if it's bussing, there's a lot of empty seats because there's only 3 of us riding this bussing to town. Let's put that down there and get my Yes, Ryan, I know you're doing a heck of a job because my wife doesn't even watch these things. So, you're way ahead of the curve. Well, Joe's here. Hello, Joe. Hello, Ryan. Hello, Robert. Six people. We're getting there. Robert said Fred Rocky is in the house. Maybe he's in his pocket riding around. Did you bring him to work today? If you did, you didn't show him to us. So I'm disappointed in you. Let me show you who we're talking about tonight. Or maybe we'll talk about something totally different. All 5 of us. Let's see if we can do this. We're going to share. We're going to share a screen. Yeah. Share screen. This dude. That guy. So one of these guys does not watch your stream. She does too. Where are you right now? Are you stretched out in the most comfortable location in the whole house? Are you? So, if you read the title, then this is what comes to my mind. Let me turn this around. I hope it doesn't blow everybody's eardrums out. So, this is the Thor part of this dude's name. One of these guys here, right? Of course she is. She's a smart person. And then, I don't know if anybody has ever heard of the comic strip Prince Valiant, but it used to be a storyline that came out on Sundays, and I mean, I read some of it, but it was I didn't know this until today. It was a continuous storyline. And I have to look to see how many years it'd been running or was running. But a lot of comics are just situational, and they have one and the next day it's something totally different. There's no storyline. But apparently Prince Valiant, this guy here, check him out. He got that cool Three Stooges bowl haircut. This was one of the comic strips here. Ran for years and years and years. So I guess, man, it told a story, a continuous story. So let's see when it ran. Longest, look at that, see? Most beloved. I don't I don't get that at all. When does it say that it started? Oh, this is a bunch of junk. So, why didn't it say? Okay. Since it started in 1937. There it is. Hal Foster, 1937. Epic adventure that was told in continuous during its entire history. 4,000 Sunday, and it only came out on Sundays, comic strips. 300 American newspapers, according to the distributor. So, anyway, when I heard this podcast, and I was listening to a podcast on Spotify called Conspiracy Theories, and I was just scrolling through there. I was mowing the yard or work around the house or something, so I was listening to it. And let me get rid of this. I come across the one. It said that it was alien in the Pentagon. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So I started listening to it, and this alien, I'll tell you the story, but anyway, he was self-named Valiant Thor. And the only thing I could come up in my mind at the time was Prince Valiant. Why would some alien call himself Valiant after a comic book hero, story, whatever? Then I guess, later on I realized it wasn't this comic book. It was probably Thor was what his main thought process was. The Norse god of thunder and lightning and everything very exciting and all that stuff. But anyway, and Valiant was, I guess an English word that meant upstanding and straightforward and you can trust me kind of word. But which I find very unusual because according to the story, in March 16th, 1957, in Alexandria, Virginia, somehow these police officers either got a call or saw the spaceship land, and they approached, and this guy came out in his shiny leotard suit with boots and everything like the 1950s shows, and talked to the policeman telepathically and said, "Take me to your presidente." Oh, but he just said, "I need to speak to the president right now." Now, I don't know who these policemen were, but they got him in the car and they took him for a ride, and they ended up in the Pentagon. At the Pentagon. Now, I don't know of any patrol officers anywhere that could take a stranger that claims to be an alien to the Pentagon. And let's see, I wrote this guy's name down, who they met there. Anyway, they met the Secretary of Defense at the Pentagon. And they went in, and he supposedly got to talk to President Eisenhower and Vice President Nixon. And according to the storyteller, this Frank Stranges, just like strangers, but without the R's. So, Stranges. Robert, if Freddie was here, we'd ask him. Because I bet you're right. I bet he'd get straight into the Pentagon. Toot sweet. So, Stranges tells the story because later on in the whole thing, he becomes really good friends with, shortened his name to Val. They started calling him Val. But anyway, he approached Eisenhower and Nixon, Vice President Nixon, to say that he had come from Venus. Insert your sophomoric humor jokes here about planets further out or Venus and other places. This is I guess it's a family show. So I always put on here my shows are not for kids. So he came from Venus, not Uranus. So keep that in mind. And he was here to prevent the human race from killing itself with nuclear weapons. Because apparently they had an intergalactical high council that met and said that if we didn't stop it, that we would kill ourselves with nuclear weapons, and that would be a detriment to other planets, other alien civilizations. So why are we so important, right? So anyway, they wanted to help, but they couldn't right at the moment because this was really close to, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Cold War, and all that, and it was all based on who had the biggest nuclear weapons, right? So they let him stay in a fully furnished private apartment at the Pentagon. I don't know. Do they have apartments at the Pentagon? But he stayed there, and he had a timeline, 3 years. He had to accomplish this in 3 years. So apparently he could come and go by teleporting. He just thought about where he wanted to go, and that's where he went. So he would come and go at his leisure. He would interact because he looked human. He was like 6 feet tall, 185 pounds, and supposedly had 6 fingers on his hands instead of 5, and 6 toes. But that was the only thing externally that you could really maybe distinguish him from other people. So he attended a gathering of UFO researchers, people that like to talk about UFOs. Earth is important because aliens look forward to Minutes with Mylo Mondays and Thursdays at 9. You can have some more ghost pepper sauce tomorrow for that, Ryan. You've earned it. So he went to these meetings and took some of his crew members. I was going to show you this picture, and it turned into something totally different. Where'd it go? So let me share this with you. I'm doing a lot of sharing tonight, because I promised Debbie, which I don't think is here now. Thanks a lot. I went to all this trouble that I'd try to do a little more research, and therefore make a little more sense. So this, and if I try to enlarge it, it goes to a different site. But let's see, open a new tab. No, see where it goes? No, we don't want that. Anyway, go back. This guy right here, can you see that on the screen, my little mouse? Right there? Oh, no, you can't see it. Now you can see it. This guy right here was supposed to be Valiant Thor. Alright? And this girl, and this guy here that's, I don't know, praying to Thor, I don't know. But anyway, he's supposed to be another crew member. But here it is in black and white. So this was at an attendance at a party, and these pictures were supposedly taken by some kind of Air Force photographer. Here's another one. This is supposed to be him. This is a crew member, and that's the female crew member. But Stranges wrote this book. Fred Stranges wrote a book, Alien in the Pentagon, and was selling it, of course. Now, the big, I don't know, rebuttal, that's a good word, about, like it needs one, but one of the biggest rebuttals on this story is it closely follows. Now remember, this this took place. He's supposed to come to Earth in 57, and in 1951. 1951, there was a movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Now, I haven't seen it, but according to my research, that closely follows this same kind of story. Apparently, an alien comes to try to save the Earth from nuclear weapons and talks with the president. So, the people that say this Strangers guy made this all up and to sell books, because he was a Pentecostal preacher that went around traveling and preaching that aliens were spoke about in the Bible, and that those verses had been misinterpreted, and he was preaching on and believed that aliens had come to Earth back in biblical times. So, like I said, he met strangers after he'd left the Pentagon, just telepathically, and he attended one of Strange's sermons and enlisted his help and said, can you help me get this message out, because the leaders of the world, they're not paying attention. So he said he would help him. Stranger said he would help him, and they became fast buddies. But little did strangers know that there was evil forces afoot to stop him. Imagine that. Somebody didn't want peace on earth and goodwill towards men. It never took place, so at the end of 3 years, Val left his mission, went away, and came back a couple of years later and talked to strangers again. Then in, I think it was like 74, he came back, and now Val's supposed to live like 500 years. His lifespan was supposed to be 500 years. So he came back, and this is the time that he took strangers into his ship. And that was in 1968. He took strangers into his ship, and they watched on a viewing device live as Senator Robert Kennedy was killed. And this is when Val said, there's at least 450 bad actors that we're monitoring all the time. The aliens are monitoring all the time to make sure they don't reach critical mass and accelerate the nuclear problem and kill everybody with nuclear weapons. So later on, Stranges gets beaten up when he was supposed to meet Val in Nevada in his spaceship. And he lands in Nevada, and these guys come up and say, hey, we're supposed to take you to Val. So he gets in the car with them. Duh. And so they take him out in the desert and start beating on him, wanting to know where Val is. Do you know where Val is? So what happens? A white car pulls up. Some crew members from Val's ship get out, wave their hands, and the guys disappear along with their car. So then they take strangers to the ship, they knock him out, and he's fully recovered when he wakes up. But that's not all. Later on, he gets into a car crash and is paralyzed, right, from the neck down. Strangers meets a woman, he gets married. Again, they're in Las Vegas, or near Las Vegas, and they get boxed in by these cars, and he hits one car, it causes a crash, and he gets paralyzed. They go take him to the hospital, and guess who was in the operating room when they were going to operate? Val. Yep, Val was there, and he asks everyone else in the operating room to leave, which they do because he's got mind control. So he leaves. Or they leave, and he stays in there. All right. So, according to Strange's, he heals him with the laying upon of hands. Puts his hands on him, does his deal, and miraculously, Strange's starts to feel, and he can walk. And the surgeons and the doctors come in, and I was like, oh, how did you ever get fully recovered? Wow, this is a miracle. It's great. And Stranger said that Val imparted to him a healing ritual. He called it a ritual. So you're supposed to light a candle and recite specific verses from the Bible. And what they said the specific verse was the Lord's Prayer. Now, I didn't know. I don't know. I'm not a Bible scholar. So anyway, I didn't know the Lord's Prayer was a verse, a Bible verse. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't think I ever knew where the Lord's Prayer comes from. So anyway, you're supposed to light a candle and say the Lord's Prayer without interruption, and it will restore and heal you, I guess, as you're doing it. So feathers, why did I say feathers? Strange's dies at the age of 85, but not before him and Val write a book together. And they write a book that's called I'm going to put my glasses on again. Nope, wrong paper. I think I'd remember that. Outwitting Tomorrow is the name of the book that Val, the alien, and Feathers, the Pentecostal preacher, wrote together. So I had planned on trying to get the Stranger, in the Pentagon or Strangers in the White House and read it until I found out about Outwitting Tomorrow. And of course you got to get that because it was co-authored by an alien. So I was going to try to get that one. I actually saw it where you can download the PDF of it. It's so popular they put it into a PDF. But I thought that would be interesting reading. And there was a couple of other people involved in this story. A Phil Schneider, which was Robert, hello, Ryan, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish by Val and Stranges. You've read that? That's pretty good. But I don't think they actually did that one. I might be wrong, but I don't think so. But anyway, Phil Schneider was a guy that met Val, and he had supposedly top secret clearance because he worked with the government. He was a stone man, archaeologist, and he helped build secret tunnels and all this other stuff for the government. So he had top security clearance. He got to meet Val, all right? And one of the things they said that when he went to the Pentagon, so he's found in the field by these policemen. They take him to the Pentagon. He meets the Secretary of Defense at the time. The guy goes, I'll get you in to see the president. So they supposedly go down into the secret basement of the Pentagon. They get on a subway that runs from the Pentagon to the White House, and that's how he got into the Oval Office. So if you believe what Schneider says, then they've got a secret tunnel from the Pentagon to the White House, and that's how Val traveled that distance, even though he could teleport if he wanted to, but he rode the train instead. So, and then Laura Eisenhower, which was President Eisenhower's great niece, rose her hand on a stack of Bibles and said, Strange's book was true, that it was all true, that somehow she knew it. And that supposedly lended a little bit of credence to Strange's book. But they never said whatever happened with Val after Strange has died. But since he has a 500-year lifespan, then he's still out there. And they talked about different places where he shipped. He was going to take President Eisenhower out to see his ship, and Eisenhower said, "No, Secret Service won't let me do that, so we can't do that." And then he brought in, his crew. Supposedly, strangers got to go to the Pentagon and visit for the first time. When he very first met Val, he visited him in the Pentagon, and he said it was like no one even knew Strange's was there. All the security guards, all the people in the Pentagon didn't even look at him, he said, because Val was using his telekinetic powers to, do a Jedi mind trick and keep all the people from seeing Strange's as he walked in. In fact, he said he walked into an office with military personnel and stuff in the office, and nobody ever looked up. And then in the back of the room, a door opens, and he walks back there, and that's how he meets Val in this room. And apparently it was, I don't know, a fully furnished apartment. Okay, so Cleo's here. Hey, Cleo. I'm sorry, I was telling, it was story time, and I didn't see it. But if you want to listen to these podcasts, like I said, they're on Spotify, and I guess they can be found other places. But, of course, they do a heck of a lot better job than I do. But they have people that research it, that do the sound, that do fact checking, and that kind of stuff. But I thought the book might be an interesting read, just because, it's supposed to be, co-authored by an alien. And who doesn't want to outwit tomorrow, right? So maybe you learn how to bet on sports or get into the stock market, something like that. But back to what Ryan was talking about, I have read One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, and I probably have a copy somewhere that I could show to you. But do you have any thoughts on this Valiant Thor? I mean, I don't even know. A lot of the conspiracy theories that I've listened to have this much truth to them, or something that can be verified. But when I listened to the podcast, it sounded like really intriguing. And then I started doing research, like I promised Debbie. Debbie, you're not here. I'm disappointed. I'm not here. Is that my English accent? I have to find me a good Irish accent. She's going to slap me upside the head one day when she meets me. But anyway, so I tried to do a little research, and after reading, of course, there was a website that said there used to be some videos and some more pictures, and there was some other things out there that lended itself a little more to the positive side of the story, but they were all taken down. The pictures had been deleted, the videos had been taken off of YouTube, and any documentation out there had been tampered with and redacted. So that has to spell government cover-up. So all that makes it true, right? But I just don't think I believe too much of this story, because there's not even, most people try to dig up secret documents or, different things about where the president was, where the vice president was at the time, all these other things. But there wasn't, any of that in the internet research I could do. Now, like I said, in the podcast, they go into a lot more detail on some of the things that they had found out. But back in the day, the truth is out there. If you think, some say level 3 people back in the day thought so. What did they think so? That the truth is out there and now they don't think? Which is it? Robert? Back in the day thought so what? might have this next time. I think I'll set my delay for the chat quicker, because I have it set on like slow, so that when there's like 200 people in here and they're all trying to fight and get on the be heard and seen on the channel, that it would go by slow. So when there's 8 people on here, that the story was legit. High level back in the day thought so. Their story was legit. I doubt it personally. Right. Good vibes. Anyway, next time I'm going to speed up the chat. So I think y'all experience the delay, because I think it's set to where you have to wait so many seconds before you can chat again. And I think that's probably part of the issue if you're having that, is the fact that I've got it set to a delay. Now, me and Craig had talked about this a little bit today. Another one that I had talked about that maybe not anytime soon. Hey, that reminds me. In the description of this video, I don't know if you can see it right now or not, I tried to put the link to my document, the Google Doc that has all my topics on it. So if you think about it and you want to see it, some of you may have seen it on the Facebook post, but if you haven't, you can look down, hopefully in the description. I know everybody in YouTube says this thing, look down here in the description, and there's a link to it. But I don't know if I mentioned in the document or not. I may have just listed as conspiracy theories. There was another one on Plum Island that one day I'll look at doing, and I know it's true, because Plum Island is a real place. Plum Island has the facilities on it. It's documented that the USDA occupied the island. The Army had it before. There was a lighthouse on it. All that stuff is documented. And supposedly in 1993, there was some documentation to back up the claims of what the USDA and the Army were doing there during the 50s and 60s and that kind of stuff. So that was one that I probably should have went ahead and did tonight, but I just thought this the Valiant Thor had such a great name. You know, I mean, it was truly like he came from outer space and was like a Superman, and he had this cool name, and he was going to save us all from nuclear war. And nah. He had 3 years. He couldn't get anybody to go along with him, and so he wrote a book about it. But good vibes, wash hands. What are you guys talking about? Now you got Cleo into it. What is that, wash hands? Good vibes. Oh, are these like little emoji-con thingies that's supposed to be coming up, but instead it's just words? He tried. We failed. Yes. Well, we're still here. We didn't blow. See, if it were true, let's just say it was true, why would us potentially, I don't think nuclear war, I don't know if anybody ever says that nuclear war would wipe everybody out. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the whole nuclear cloud, the blocking out the sun for 45 years, all that stuff would kill us. But anyway, why would us, as the Earth, humans, killing ourselves way out here in the middle of nowhere, affect alien planets, who knows where. Venus is a long ways away, right? Maybe that's our closest neighbor. But anyway, there's enough alien life out there that they have a galactic committee, right? So there's got to be more than 4 or 5 alien species. So why would us killing ourselves affect them? Unless we're a potential food source, maybe. They kill us off, and then there's like no jam, no jellies, no human goodness, you know. I suck at those emoji doohickeys that are supposed to be applauding. Well, it says wash hands. Do you have to type them in there? Let's see. Do you have to type them? Can I post? I know I can post stuff in there. So what are you supposed to do? Type something in there like washing hands and it's supposed to come up? Wait a minute. I'm not. See, I can't do it on YouTube. I got to do it in StreamYard. So let's see. Can I come up here? What's this? Where did it go? Oh, I'm gonna put somebody in timeout. We don't want to do that. Let's see if I can. Let me see. This is what I see. If I can type it. Yeah, and I can't type without looking at the stupid keyboard, so get over it. Does it have 2 H's in it? Yeah, I did. See, that's what I see. Wash hands. Is that what you typed, Cleo? Is that what you typed in there? Because that's what it shows me. The link. Yeah, I've got to turn off that delay. I think that's screwing everybody up. So do you think that we would be important to other than alien species? I mean, you know, are we so important that they would come all this way? I mean, maybe it's just a 10-minute trip. I don't know. But they would come and present themselves and go to parties and, you know, intermingle. And supposedly he told people, hey, dude, I'm an alien, you know. So, I don't know. You'd think there'd be more people. Maybe it's in the book. Maybe there are people in the book that, you know, would, and they just didn't cover it in the podcast or on the internet, that came forward and said, yeah, I met Val. He was at the party. He was a really cool dude. And, you know, he could dance. I don't know. So, I just can't imagine that we'd be that important that they'd worry about us. You know, if we don't make it, we don't make it. And there's, you know, we're not even in space yet, much less important to space. Hey, Cleo, have you found anybody to accompany you? Maybe Thursday? I was telling the guys at work that, you know, you might be able to get on and play some music, but I wasn't sure if that was still something you might be able to do. I'm just going to put you on the spot right here in front of the whole world. The internet. I'm going to put you on the spot on the internet. Does anybody else hear crickets? I hear crickets. Come on. Yeah, I've got to turn that down. Anyway, so let me know. I'll let the guys know. So anybody else? There was 7. There was 7. There was 8. Possibly going to bring a guest of a guest. Yeah, that's fine. Now, here's something I thought about, and I don't think it would ever work, but you could try it. Might be interesting to try it. Would be, I can share up to 6 people. I don't know if that includes myself. So let's just say 5. Me and 5 others. So I'm not even sure that you, except for playing music together, I know you don't have to be in the same room to get on my screen. But I wonder if you could play music. What I guess that if he didn't have the fastest internet as you did, or vice versa, that it would probably be all screwed up. But it might be interesting to try. If, of course, you said he was going to sing, and you would play, and he would sing. But it might be kind of funny to see if you could do it, you at home and him at his house, and we get on here, mix it all up, throw it out on the internet, and see what happens. Or he could just come by your place in your studio, your multi-million-dollar underground bunker, and play music and sing music. A guest for guest. All right. Any other questions? 41 minutes. So, been on here. Wore out my welcome. We're down to 6 viewers now. People are bailing. Let me out. Let me out. Misunderstood technology. All right. Well, appreciate you guys coming, hanging out the whole time. Ryan, if your belly's hurting, it's not my fault. You just had to prove yourself to Landon. That's probably why he's not here. I guarantee his belly's hurting. He's doubled over somewhere, bathroom floor or something. So, look over the list, come up with some other things. Like I said, I've got this Plum Island thing. Do a little research on that. See what you think about that. It's kind of tied to this Montauk Monster. Have you ever heard that? Montauk Monster. It's up in New York, man. They got some strange names up there. So, your belly's good. Well, it's still, still good time. About 2 o'clock in the morning, it may hit you. It may hit you hard. Ghost peppers, yeah, Carolina Reapers, all mixing in there with whatever you had for supper. Yep, might be interesting night. So, all right, guys, I appreciate it. And if you can stand it, come back on Thursday. Maybe Cleo will come through and we'll either hear good music or learn about good music, or at least have somebody else to look at besides me. And Ryan, if you're going to get this D&D game together, I was thinking about that. How are we going to show the dice? I mean, I could say whatever I wanted to on the dice, but anyway, trust me, I would never try to cheat at a D&D game. Ouija boards. I thought about those. I got to put that on my list. Find out if anybody is out there monkeying around with the Ouija board. So, anyway, email me suggestions, Facebook suggestions, Twitter. Hey, the thing that I put up before that was my place marker before the stream started is probably a good bet that that's going to be a business card. I told you I was going to put some business cards out. As soon as I get some ink from my wife's printer and I can sneak in and print them while she's not looking, I'll have some of those up and we can give them out, because you know what? Facebook ain't everything. So anyway, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And we'll see y'all later. Bye. I'll do this. Bye.